Notre Dame and Penn State getting together in, I don't know, about 2 hours. 2 hours here on the East Coast at 7:30 on ESPN for a game that whoever wins it gets into the national championship. You have Notre Dame and Penn State, and who's the favorite? Notre Dame by a point and a half. I'm going to talk about the game here in just a moment. Quickly, welcome to the channel. Glad you're here. I'm Brian. How you doing there, young man? Sorry, I normally don't do that, but want to send a special shout out to someone. I don't know if they'll be watching this. A friend of mine met someone who watches the show all the time. He texted me. He was like, "Hey man, you got a sec?" Unfortunately, I was in the middle of work, and it was a long time before I could get back to him. But Brantley Major, just wanted to tell you that David told me he met you today. You had some really good things to say about the channel. So Brantley Major, just want to give you a shout out. And thank you, David. If you watch this, hopefully you will. Thank you so much, my friend, for reaching out to me and trying to get me on the phone to talk to Brantley. But anyway, if you have not subscribed, some of you are like, oh, here we go again. Hey, listen, my analytics tells me that if I were to get subscribers from the people who watches me all the time, I would have a ton more subscribers. Subscribing is free. So if you're watching me all the time, unless you're a glutton for punishment, that means you like what I'm doing. If you want to support me and support me for free, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button. I can't remember which side of the video it's on, but if you'll hit that subscribe button, I really would and do appreciate it. Good to see you, Brantley, in here. Good to see you, my friend. Glad. I wish I could have hopped on the phone and said hello to you today. I'm sorry, I was tied up with work. And Faith, thank you so much. Happy New Year. Y'all take good care of yourselves, and hopefully you're warm right now. Okay, let's get into this game. This is not my normal prediction. Normally, I don't go into the comments section. The game's in 2 hours. Now, both of these teams, I have not had a lot of expectation with them coming into the college football playoff. You ask why? Well, Penn State, when they played Ohio State in the regular season, everybody was telling me Penn State's this, Penn State's that. Ohio State did what they always did. They beat them. They, in fact, spotted Penn State 10 points, and then they beat them. And when you look at Penn State coming into this game, has anyone had an easier road to this point so far? I mean, I don't think so. You could say Notre Dame. Oh, Notre Dame played Indiana, and we know Indiana was a really good story, but we also knew that they were not elite. We knew it. And Notre Dame beat them as they should. But Notre Dame turned around and played Georgia, and listen, before all the Georgia fans starts going, oh, we were down a player, our quarterback, who's now transferring. If Georgia would have won that game, you know what the Georgia fans would have said? They would have said, well, that's next man up. We're Georgia. And historically, yes. By the way, I found out some friends of mine at church who are big Georgia fans, Georgia grads, they told me last night they watched my channel, and I was shocked. Y'all, if you don't know me, I really don't talk about my channel to anyone. If you know about it, you know about it, and that's it. But there's a lot of people who has no clue I have this channel, and it was just kind of shocking. But they're really good Georgia fans, and I have some good Georgia followers on here. SEC Dog, a few others on here. So listen, I've shown a lot of mad respect to Georgia, but Notre Dame messed me up because I picked Georgia to win because of that fact. Notre Dame went out and beat them. So Notre Dame has this quality win. Georgia's tough to beat, y'all. Coming into this game, who has Penn State beat? Well, they beat the teams they were supposed to beat, and they beat the crap out of that SMU team by 28. They beat the Fighting Ashton Genties. You're right. Okay, I get that. But while a lot of people is looking at Notre Dame and they're saying stuff like, Notre Dame's only a 1.5 point favorite. Notre Dame this, Notre Dame that. Listen to me, folks. This game is going to be quite interesting. And transparently, I'm going to go ahead and let me throw this out there real quick. Real quick. I heard that some type of virus or something has been going through the Notre Dame team, and that right now it's on the backups. The backups are feeling it. Some of special teams. So does that matter? Absolutely. We know that. We know that on the Penn State side, the Abdul Carter, he's questionable. He's been questionable. We step over and we look at Notre Dame. We see that Jeremiah Love, he's probable, but his knee has been giving him some problems. We know that some of there's some issues here and there, and folks, at this point of the season, that's what you expect. But I'm going to tell you who I picked to win this game now. I'm going to tell it now. I'm going to tell you who I picked to win this game right now, and then I'm going to tell you why. I know that's kind of goes against the grain of things, and I'm only 6.5 minutes in. I believe Notre Dame wins this ball game. Why? Is it because you can't stand Penn State? It's not that I can't stand Penn State. It's that every flipping year, I'm told that Penn State is a top 10 football team. And that they're going to make a run against Ohio State, and whoever is the top team along with Ohio State. And they never beat Ohio State. They never beat that team, or they'll lose to some other team. And some reason Penn State just can't get over that hump. Maybe they are a top 10 team, but they're not a national championship team. And you have to put up with it in the preseason, and then you get into the regular season, and then you finally have that game that would define their season, and then they lose. It's not that I hate them. It's just I truly believe that James Franklin is the Mark Richt of Penn State. Mark Richt, by the way, seems like a very nice guy. I'm not knocking him. He did have success at Georgia. Remember when he left, Kirby took over, a 10-3 football team? But he could never get them over the hump. That's how I look at Penn State. They have good football players, obviously. Aller, Singleton. I mean, good grief. Tyler Warren, you know the ball's going to him. But can you stop it? I mean, that's their leading receiver. Guess what? He's a tight end. 98 receptions, 1,158 yards, 8 touchdowns. We know where the ball is going. But the problem is, I just don't think they have the coaching staff to get them over the hump. Let's go to Notre Dame's side. Let's talk about Riley Leonard, a guy that I gained a ton of respect for in the offseason before 2023. Coming out of Duke, folks, going to Duke and playing there, it's not easy. Because you have the history to deal with, you have the academic standards to deal with, you have the perception of everyone of the Duke football team. It's a basketball school because, well, they're a basketball school, and it's one of the top institutes in the country. The problem is that even when they're good, people disrespect it. And Duke, under Riley Leonard, did really well. Riley Leonard transfers to Notre Dame, and this guy has come. He's came out and he's done his thing. He's a big dude. He's physical. There was a play last week against Georgia where he literally sacrificed his body, and I believe it shocked the defensive back from Georgia when he flipped over him. Now, Riley Leonard is not your stereotypical 5'10", 5'11", dual threat quarterback who's really a running back with an okay arm. You know, we've seen those types. I've warned you against those types. They can win you games, but you get in the big games against people who can scheme for them, they almost always lose. I've just been watching too much college football. And if that's all you have, that's all you have. Riley Leonard's not that guy. Riley Leonard's 6'4", 215, 220, somewhere in there. And he can run, he can truly throw, and he will run over you, flip over you, jump over you. Drew Aller is a talented quarterback. He is a talented quarterback. His numbers are better in the passing department, in yardage and in touchdown passes, than Riley Leonard. But where does Riley Leonard get him? Riley Leonard gets him in the rushing department. In the rushing department, Riley Leonard rushed for 831 yards this year, 15 touchdowns. And just the sheer physicality that I've been seeing from Notre Dame's defense is one of the reasons that I'm leaning towards, or I'm saying that I believe Notre Dame's going to win this game. Notre Dame had to play that game against Indiana, and it was freezing, and everybody's used to that because they're in the South Bend area. Penn State's used to cold weather. Tonight they're going to be, about 60 degrees in Miami? It's going to be a totally different game than what they had to play in the opening week. And these two teams are going to go head-to-head. Penn State has played nobody up to this point. Brian, no one knows nobody was a SMU team, which is part of the ACC. Yeah, I know. You're not going to zing me there. The ACC is garbage. I went as far as to say that if Clemson loses 3 games in the regular season next year, they completely and utterly failed with their roster, players that are coming back, some of the tenure you're starting to see among some of the coaches, and especially if Dabo hires a really good defensive coordinator. That would be a pure and utter failure if you look at that schedule. So you're right, the ACC is pure garbage. I believe that people are starting to get a little too hyped up on Penn State based on beating a bunch of teams who were not, and I'm talking about, I say a bunch, the last 2 teams they played. SMU was not that great. Clemson had a 17-point lead on them like that and blew it, which if you know anything about Clemson, I love my Tigers, that's been their MO this year when they play a team that can play close with them. They'll blow a lead. Clemson should have done to SMU what Penn State did to them, but they didn't. And then you turn around and you look at Ashton Jeanty. Everybody knew that they were going to take Ashton Jeanty out of the ball game. Everyone knew that they were going to put the game on, I can't remember their quarterback's name. Madsen or something like that? They knew that they were going to put the game on his shoulders and take Jeanty out. And guess what they did? They beat him bad. But again, Penn State has not played an incredible team in this college football playoff. And tonight is the toughest game they've had so far. And you would say, well, of course, Brian, they're moving through. They're getting closer to the championship game. Duh, you're right. But I'm saying this is the toughest game they've played. Penn State has played in a while. The last team that was good that they played was back in the conference championship, and they lost. They finally play a good team, and they lost. What happened before that when they played? They almost lost to Minnesota. They beat Purdue. They beat Washington. Back on November the 2nd, they lose to Ohio State. I am just saying they have a tendency to lose to good football teams. Someone who is not Purdue, someone who's not Maryland, someone who's not, UCLA or a down Washington team, and they still almost lost to Minnesota. So that's the reason why I believe the Notre Dame Fighting Irish wins this ball game tonight, is because Notre Dame, they seem to have a little more going for them, and them coming off this win against Georgia, that's the biggest one. That is the biggest one. Let me know who you think's going to win this game. Let me get in here and say hello. Let me see. At Clemson Football, Happy New Year. Will you also be covering Clemson basketball? The other teams need your love too. You know, Faith, I've been thinking about that. Been thinking about a few things there, potentially covering some of the Clemson sports, but just one of those things I'm having to think about, if you know what I mean. Having to think about that. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. Sly Fox, go Irish. Young D, let's go Irish. Smash Penn State. Let me see. Joe, good to see you. What's up, bro? Good to see you. Go Tigers. Hope Penn State wins. I think Notre Dame wins it all. Penn State will have the best players on the field on both sides, Joey says. Joey is drinking. Let me see. UNC beat Minnesota. That is true. Koozie, love the channel as always. Give me Drew Aller tonight, and I'm making a bold prediction. Cade versus Drew in the national championship next year. Koozie, dropping some money in here. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, Koozie. A $10 donation is very much appreciated. And folks, I'm an independent. I'm independent media. I'm by myself. So Koozie supporting the channel, and Koozie, I really do appreciate it. We will see, my friend. Drew Aller does have a lot of talent. And we know with Cade coming back, with 4 out of 5 offensive linemen coming back, the wide receivers, of course, the defense, we have like 8 returning starters there. You also have the guys that we've added from the portal. And then it's just really hinging, for me, it's hinging upon who we hire at defensive coordinator. If Dabo Swinney goes out and gets another Matt Luke, but he's a defensive coordinator, buckle up. Look at the schedule. The schedule is extremely favorable. Our non-conference is extremely favorable. All the big games, almost all of them are in Death Valley in Clemson, South Carolina. So there's a lot of good things that are lining up for Clemson. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. And folks, this is the last time I'll say it. In fact, I'm going to end the video here. My analytics tell me, and you're like, man, I'm sick and tired of hearing about this. But I'll tell you right now that, for a small channel like mine, my small channel, that's only just a little over 2 years old, about 2.5 years old, somewhere in there now, I have 28,000 returning viewers. Right now, I have just a little over 7,000 subscribers. So I'm literally reading my analytics as I'm speaking to you. 28.2 thousand subscribers. So I have 7,000 subscribers. That means 75% of the people who watch me has not subscribed to me, and that's returning viewers. New viewers are, I think last month, I can't remember how many. Let me see if I can find the new viewers. Anyway, here's what I'm just trying to tell you, is that if you watch me consistently, the nicest thing that you can do for me is to hit the subscribe button. I hope you will hit the subscribe button. Remember, it's free. So I do appreciate it. Westlake Dad in here real quick. Look for my son and Kate's former high school receiver, Jaden Greathouse, in this game. Westlake Dad, it's good to hear from you, my friend. Good to hear from you. Thanks for sending that over. Big John, happy Thursday. I'm late again, dang it. Well, my friend, I just picked Notre Dame to win, but you need to run this video back and watch it. Big John, you see that symbol beside his name? He supports the channel on a monthly basis, and I really do appreciate that, Big John. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Boop, 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 boop. Probably got a copyright strike for doing that. Y'all take care. Tiger Tom says, I think Notre Dame takes them. Y'all take care of yourself. I appreciate the support. And we'll see. I believe Notre Dame wins it. I think they're going to be more physical, and I think they have the quarterback to pull this game off. I think they have a little more going on the sidelines than maybe Penn State. I'm talking about coaching there. Remember, coaching matters. If you don't know that, then why the crap are they being paid so much money? It's a great question to ask. Y'all take care of yourself, and as always, go Tigers.